Alright, so just a heads up, yeah, there's gonna be spoilers in this. I don't know why anybody would click on a video about this film when they don't want spoilers. But there's gonna be spoilers. I don't want to take too much time on an actual, review of this movie, just because a lot of the stuff that I have to say about it has kind of already been said. So, first thing, let's talk about performances. Tom Holland, Zendaya, and, Benedict Cumberbatch, you know, the people that have been with this franchise for a while. Not only are they giving it their all, like, they're really good, but the people that are returning to their roles in this film, they just, slide right back into it. Like, it genuinely feels like people like Willem Dafoe or Alfred Molina, they just never stop playing these characters. They've been playing them the whole time and we just didn't know about it. So yeah, the performances are really good. I don't think anybody can really fault this film on performances, and so performances across the board, phenomenal. And I would recommend this movie on performance alone, especially, as many people are saying, with Willem Dafoe, because Willem Dafoe, I'm so glad that they ditched the Goblin mask in this movie, because have you seen the facial expressions this man can do? He is a comic book character. Already, he's a living, breathing comic book character. And so, removing the Goblin mask really made his performance stand out. And I'm happy to say that Goblin was actually terrifying in this movie. There's this one scene where Spider-Man is just hammering away on him, and he's just laughing the whole time. And it is so freaking scary. And it's all because of Willem Dafoe. It's all him doing this. It was nice to see, an actual Green Goblin and, what, at least to me, what the character means in this movie. Overall, the villains were great. I think people are kind of unanimously agreeing that Sandman and Lizard were kind of the weakest of them. Especially Lizard. For a large chunk of the movie, he's just there and he's just like, the world sucks and people suck and blah blah blah. And he's just kind of he's just there to be cynical. And half the time I don't think the writers even wanted to deal with him, because there's a lot of scenes that he could have been around for it, but they were just like, oh yeah, no, he's just off in the truck, chilling and not doing anything. So yeah, I just really did feel like they didn't want to deal with Lizard. And then, yeah, Sandman, it was great seeing Aiden Church as Sandman again, even if it wasn't actually him. I'm pretty sure they just reused old footage from the Raimi movies and just imposed it onto newer footage. You can tell at some parts. But it was good to see him as Sandman again, mostly because he was, the best part of Spider-Man 3. But yeah, and this movie, his reasoning for doing stuff never really makes any sense. He tells Electro that, hey, I'm just here letting this kid experiment on me because I want to get home to my daughter. But then, once Goblin goes insane, he just kind of I'm gonna go with the villains. Even though Peter has the thing that can send him home. And I'm just kind of but why? Why is he going with the villains when his whole goal is to get home? That was just the one thing that didn't really make a lot of sense. And so yeah, Sandman was while Lizard isn't doing anything, Sandman, I think, was probably the weakest of the characters. Because his motivations are just never clear about why he's doing what he's doing. But overall, no. Villains are great. The characters, all characters except Lizard, are great. I don't think anybody's going to be taken away from that. I don't think anybody's going to walk away and be like, yeah, no, they were terrible. Everybody was bad. So yeah, that's really just all I have to say. CGI is really good. That's generally expected in a Marvel movie. CGI is just top-notch and it looks really good majority of the time. I can only think of, 2 scenes. One of them being the Sandman when he returns to normal. Only 2 scenes with the CGI was, really kind of dicey. And not even scenes, more 1 2-second shot where the CGI was like really bad. Otherwise, it just looked good. Like, Alfred Molina's tentacles, I know a lot of people were upset that he wasn't going to have the puppeteered arms this time. But it still worked. Like, he's still, like, doing, like, the arm motions that he did in the second Spider-Man, where he's, like, you know, moving with the arms. He's still doing that, even if there's CGI, and it makes it feel like, yeah, he's actually working with these arms, and you don't really notice it, to be honest. Like, you kind of forget that this man doesn't have giant metal arms actually attached to him. It was a solid movie. This really, like, if you watch any of the reviews on YouTube, they're gonna say exactly probably what I'm saying. And if they're saying more, it's something that I'm probably already agreeing with. This is a movie that is bringing people together. It's not being divisive. It's not doing any of that. That's honestly when Spider-Man's at his best, is when he's bringing people together and enjoying the stories that he's going through. Real quick, before I move on, I do want to give praise to Andrew Garfield. It was weird, like, because him and Toby are both in this movie. And I fully expected that, like, yeah, if that happened and they're both in it, people are just gonna completely ignore Andrew and, like, give Toby all the attention, because so many people are so nostalgic for Tobey Maguire. But Andrew honestly stole the show. Like, he just showed up, and he was like, I'm gonna do the very best that I can with this time that I have in this movie. Like, and it's really weird, because, like, personally, when I watch Amazing Spider-Man, I never really see him as, like, Peter. I see him, like, a lot of people, I see him as a good Spider-Man, but as Peter, I just don't see it. I don't see it. But from the moment that this dude shows up on screen, I'm like, that's Peter Parker, right there. That, right there. So yeah, I'm really glad that Andrew got redeemed. Not just his character gets redeemed with the whole, like, catching MJ and, like, doing what he couldn't do in his own universe, but, like, just overall, like, he just gave a really good performance. And the one thing I did really want to talk about is, can this movie be seen as a film or as an event? Because to me there is a difference. I never considered stuff like Avengers Endgame or Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I don't consider those projects to be films. They are events. They are made for people that have stuck with their respective franchises forever. The way I see it is, a film should be able to have the potential to be enjoyed by everybody, even if it's a sequel. I really do want to know, people, if there is anybody out there who has watched this movie completely on its own, did you enjoy it? Even if you didn't get all the references or all the little tidbits that happen that directly impacted the story, did you enjoy it? Because I think that if people are genuinely enjoying this film despite not seeing, like, all of Andrew Garfield stuff, or all of Tobey Maguire's stuff, or even seeing Spider-Man Homecoming, do you still enjoy this film as a film? Or is it, like Endgame, another film event thing that is kind of separate? So that's all I really have to say. Like I said, the movie's really good. It's a solid movie, and I just really wanted to get my thoughts out and start a little bit of a dialogue. And so I'm going to end it there. Overall, this movie, as a big Spider-Man fan, this movie is easily 9 out of 10. It is a phenomenal movie. I would definitely watch this thing again. As a film fan, I don't know. It's somewhere, it's somewhere, it's still an 8, definitely. As a film fan, it is still an 8, I would say. But again, I think that's going to largely depend on how people are going to perceive this movie in the long run. Are they going to see it as its own standalone thing? Or are they going to see it as another Avengers Endgame, Deathly Hallows, Star Wars Episode Who Am I Kidding? So episode 9 is not a film for other reason. Anyway, I gotta go. It was good talking.